Our next speaker is Rebecca Ann Bearden. Rebecca is from the Department of Biological Sciences, and the title of her talk is Crayfish Connection, Linking Aquatic and Terrestrial Habitats Using Crayfish Burrow Site Preferences. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Andy. Well, the animal that this little boy is holding might not be the first one you want to pluck out of a creek here in Alabama. Everybody knows that crawfish, or crayfish as we call them in the world of biology, are famous for those super sharp claws. Well, those claws are great for defense, as you well know. They're great for grabbing food, and they're great for digging burrows. You see, these crayfish are ecological engineers, and these guys are incredible. Some of them dig their burrows directly beneath the creek where they're currently living, but some exit the water, crawl up the bank, and onto land to choose a site some distance from the creek itself for their burrow excavation. Now, if you're a crayfish and you're siting out all that available waterfront real estate, how do you choose your burrow site? Does it have to do with how steep the bank is that you had to crawl up? How far you have to crawl to your site preference? Does it have to do with how many trees are there, how old they are, how hard the soil is where you're choosing to dig, or how deep you have to go before you reach the water table? All crayfish have to have water. So these are the questions that my research seeks to address at a study site called Bogue Creek in Dallas County, Alabama, the heart of Alabama's Black Belt, which is an area unique geologically because it provides a transition to the coastal plain. But it also is home to new species of burrowing crayfish still being discovered. In fact, a new burrower was described from Bogue Creek just this past year. Well, how do you study these burrowing crayfish? Especially since they spend most of their time in their burrow. Well, you have to get a little down, a little dirty in their habitat. So that means that I've spent the last month and will spend the next year measuring soil compaction, soil moisture. I'll measure tree species diameter. I'll be checking out how far those burrows are from the creek, how high they are, and how deep the water table is at those sites. Now, why do I care about these burrowing crayfish and spend all this time in their habitat? Well, these guys provide a unique link between the aquatic world and the terrestrial world. And it's in that land-water interface where we learn more about the health of those systems. Because those systems are important not just to the crayfish, but to us as well. We need healthy land and healthy water for our survival. And part of my project involves the installation of groundwater monitoring devices. This data will be used as part of a statewide groundwater monitoring system that will then be used to formulate a much-needed water policy for the state of Alabama. All this information is important and must be communicated effectively, which is why my project also involves outreach and education. See, this little guy right here, if I can get him to care about those crayfish, to care about the land and the water on which they rely, then the natural resources of Alabama are in pretty good hands. Thank you very much. I feel really good, yes. Glad to be done. Also really kind of on the speaker high, I think, at the time. So anytime I have a group of people, I'm extremely extroverted, so that's my source of power right there. So I love it, yeah, a great time, really good time.